wasn't put into her potato sack.
Good.
Which is, I think, it's true.
As it should be. Hi everyone, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface. Once upon a time, a gentleman called Paul Chato and myself, we butted our heads together and said, what can we do together? Why? Loki Season 2 is upon us. Why don't we review Loki Season 2? Okay, I said, having seen Loki Season 1, not the most enthusiastic, but to do something with Paul, absolutely. We watched the first episode. We'll see you for episode 2. No, we won't. You see, something's actually got to happen in a show, really, for people to talk about it. So here we are after the show has completely ended. We're going to do a little bit of a breakdown of the show, if it can be called that. But first of all, Paul, welcome back, sir. How are you doing?
Thank you. No, I think it was a great idea of yours to just go right to the very end and do a final kind of compendium show. In fact, many of my fans were saying, oh, when are you going to finish things off with Az? So people are on my...
I haven't heard that for a while, but that's nice. Normally it's 38 seconds and then we're done.
We're done. But yeah, I think it was a wise idea now viewing all the Loki shows. It would have been brutal to try to do an 8-second review of each show.
It would have been 8 seconds of silence. Yes. We could have just put out a minute silence and then popped it out every Remembrance Day or Memorial Day or something.
So here we are. How many? There were 6 shows, right?
Yes. Thinking back, yes. Because I remember the screeners went out and it was 4 of the 6 episodes. And I remember the feedback coming back was nothing happens in the 4 episodes and there's only 2 remaining. But the good news, of course, was at least there was consistency. Because nothing still happened. Did you enjoy Loki season 2?
I enjoyed the cinematography and the special effects. I thought they were probably the best that they've put onto Disney Plus. And I love Tom Hiddleston. He could read a phone book and I would be interested. He made it somewhat tolerable. The problem was protons, antiprotons. He was surrounded by antimatter. That just brought it down.
Yeah, Tom's a very good actor. So is Owen Wilson. They're both exceedingly good actors, and they were wasted on this dross.
And Owen even worse.
Yeah, that frustrated me because you could see he was chomping at the bit to let loose with something juicy.
Yeah.
And Tom was literally creating stuff which wasn't there. He was persistently crying, trying to, I think, add a level of emotion to things which were not emotional. But he's an actor and he wants to
act.
To go, yes. He wants to, but he wasn't allowed. And so even though I mocked the fact that he cried multiple times each episode, it was because I do really enjoy Tom Hiddleston as an actor. And I knew that he was really desperately trying his hardest to do something. Same with Owen Wilson, but Owen Wilson kind of, I think, got to a point where it's like,
you could tell that Owen couldn't match the Shakespearean approach that Hiddleston had taken. Like they started separating as the episodes went on. There was less significant things for Owen to say or to do. And it even happened to Mrs. Loki, where I think it was the last episode. I actually sat there and went, when is she going to have a line? And then finally she went, oh, don't do that. Bravo, standing ovation. I went, okay. They finally gave her a line and it was inconsequential. But I have a challenge for you. I know that it was a whole lot of nothing, but I put on my network TV hat on and I thought, okay, if there was no Marvels, no history of any of the Marvel movies,
okay. I think I know where this is going.
No quantum universe that needed to be connected between different Marvel entities. If this thing landed the way it did as a complete television series, what would your thoughts be around it? Based on the baggage that it had to deal with?
Right. That's a very good question. I would say to that, I mean, are we incorporating the first season of Loki into this or just the second?
I would say incorporate the first and second. But let's say Marvel didn't exist and this
Yeah.
is on the CW network or something, and we're
Uh-huh.
going to just watch it as a thing.
I think
Was
my thoughts would be something along the lines of this is a very bizarre cast in terms of I don't think it works as a cast. Tom would always get high praise from me, so would Owen Wilson, but I would be pulling my hair out if I had any as to why the Sylvie was there. Because
Mhm.
she just brings the show down. I would also be asking why I don't know where the guys come. I don't even know what his name is, but there's another guy in it, the one who broke out of prison. I have no idea what he's
Oh
called.
my god, the magician, the fake magician, him?
I don't know. He's like part of the time agency. He's there. I've no idea what he's called or why he's there. I would be saying to myself, why isn't this a show about Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson doing this? That's what I would be saying to myself. Renslayer, I don't have a particularly strong opinion either way. Kang is all over the place, and Mr. Timely was abysmally acted, embarrassingly so, I think. So I would be probably like, there's an interesting idea here. There's an interesting concept here. And it really should just involve the relationship between Owen Wilson's character and Loki's character, with more revelations coming out about Owen Wilson's character, maybe even to set him up as the antagonist in all of this. The person who comes in as Owen Wilson is very disarming as a person because he comes across as very personable. So he has that very good rapport immediately when he communicates with characters. So if we went through further revelations of the time and going through the time he started to learn more about himself and it wasn't good, that could have actually set up a very interesting dynamic, particularly if Loki was going in the other direction from being Loki to a more redemptive, but that story's already been told. But according to you, of course, it doesn't exist now. So we would have had potentially characters going in the opposite, starting here and maybe ending there. And the time business being pushed really is the B plot. So you can focus on character, because when you have actors like Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson, you want character from them. And yes, your story is very important indeed, but their personality, their talent could carry that. So I think there was something there, and I think it got lost in a mess of intersectionality, which is pretty much par for the course from anything coming from Disney. The word woke is my definition of woke is when you let your ideology lead you as opposed to your creativity. That's my personal definition. So I definitely prefer the term intersectionality with something like this. I would be frustrated. I think I would be frustrated because I do think the production was pretty decent on this. Certainly better than most of the movies, never mind the other TV shows. And I do think is pretty well produced. I thought it was pretty well edited. Nothing mind-blowing, but it was decently edited. So I think I would have left this with frustration as to why too many cards were left on the table that could have easily been played with.
Yeah, I think your analysis is great, and which is why I wanted to ask you the question, because when we make the comments on shows like this, we're also dealing with the quantum universe that was created in Ant-Man. Then you got Kang, and this is part of, I think, a trend even in streaming in general, where they've lost the sight of what network TV really did well, was episodic. And so compare this show to, let's say, Fringe. Did you ever see Fringe?
I saw little bits of it. I haven't seen it in its
So that's
entirety.
a time traveling show, ironically done by J.J. Abrams, and it's fantastic.
Yes.
And there's another layer to that too, where I don't think audiences really enjoy time travel shows, just in general. I think it's not something, and they don't like sci-fi in general. So it was much better in terms of having an overarching arc with a character, but having a finished episode side mission every single week. And this is something that the goddamn streamers just can't fucking figure out, is have that stuff happening, but give us closure every single week. Have something complete so we can enjoy the storytelling. It's not that difficult to do, but the streamers haven't been able to figure that out, which is why a show like Suits and The Office are the most popular streaming shows on Netflix, for instance. I think this show suffered from that where, okay, now it's, and then, okay, now we have to wait for the next show to find out how far Sisyphus is pushing the rock up the hill.
Sure.
And it gets tiresome. You want to see a story complete within each episode. So, and then the final episode, if we want to talk about that, where Loki decided to bring it upon himself to screw Kang. We'll show you. I'm going to change it from the loom to the Asgardian tree. How symbolic.
Yggdrasil?
Yes. Yes. So that's what he did. He created Yggdrasil, and it's life, the tree of life. And
yes.
I mean, apart from the fact that Loki was not Loki at all,
no,
which I'm going, okay, fine. So apparently in the TVA, he can't use any of his powers, which is a wretched MacGuffin.
Yeah, well, he could use his powers when they allowed him to use his powers, which is even more annoying.
Yes.
Because he apparently didn't have his powers, but then he did have his powers when they wanted him to, because plot?
Which is very frustrating on our side. So when a show like Fringe, a cheap show like Fringe, which had a female lead that was fantastic, she was also hot.
Never a problem.
Yeah, not a problem with that. I don't have any issues with that. So all these people who are calling, us misogynists for not liking female leads, well, that's just not true. You just got to make them hot.
Don't like their female leads. This is the problem with collectivism is everybody gets grouped into a nice box, because that way you don't have to actually go into the nuance and construct an argument based off what's being presented in front of you at that present time. As somebody who's just gone through the whole Starfield business a little while ago, that was a fun thing to see how many people just didn't want context, made up their own idea as to when the rant happened, things like that. The fact that been on YouTube for 11 and a half years, and me having a good old-fashioned ranty poo, not a new thing. It's easy to call somebody a misogynist. It's easy to call somebody sexist or a nice little buzzword. It's more difficult to actually explain why you like something, why something is good. One thing that we, in my sphere particularly, I don't want to group you in, I'm not getting you into any trouble. One thing we always do like to say is we get plenty of people, oh, look at these guys, they are this, ists, phobes, isms, yada, yada, yada. But we never see them actually construct something about why they think the product we're criticizing is good. Whereas we've done plenty of videos. We break down video streams in minute detail as to why things don't work, why things are bad, why characters are poorly, etc., etc. But we don't see the rebuttal. We don't see this is why this is good. This is why this character is actually excellent. This is why this will subvert you in the right way. Never see that. We just see isphobe, isn't it? And when you can't actually construct an argument against what's being said other than name calling, then to me that says you're probably on the right track.
Well, they can't even properly define why they called you that name either.
Well, they will use terminology that doesn't make sense. Like, you don't like this woman, but you will praise that woman, but you're a misogynist. Okay, how does that work? Do you actually understand what misogyny means?
By the way, you look fabulous, if I can say that.
Is it my hair?
It is. It is your hair.
I did it very specially just for you today.
I think, what is it? You take that bowling ball towel and just give yourself the once over.
Paul, I give myself the once over plenty.
So getting, I think I completely agree with you. And getting back to Loki, I'm just, so the reason I asked you that question was I get a sense from some of the people who have commented to me that they like the series. I can see why they like the series. The people who like She-Hulk, I can't understand that at all. But I can see why people liked Loki. I can see why people were positive towards Andor. I can get it. You can say that the shows maybe weren't up to scratch or missing something, and you can pick it apart. I think you can actually see Andor and this Loki series and gain some enjoyment out of it.
Where I take issue with that is even the show itself in its 6 episodes did 5.5 of them before even itself turning around and saying everything has been a waste of time.
I totally get that.
And then
Yes,
the
I mean,
second
yes.
half of the last episode was suddenly, I am burdened with glorious purpose. What if you were burdened with glorious purpose from the first episode?
Yeah.
Instead of just using that line from the Avengers, why wasn't that the setup for the story and what was being built on? Because that would have made so much more sense for Loki becoming Idrisil, or the focal point of Idrisil at the end, instead of literally telling people what we were saying on FNT, Friday Night Tights, what we were saying after every episode, what I communicated to you in the point that there was no point to do these individual reviews because nothing was happening. It feels like they're wasting our time. And then the show actually tells you through Loki, this has all been a waste
of time. Yeah, if I only had clicked my ruby slippers together, I'd go back to Kansas.
The second half of the 6th episode could have been almost the starting point for season 2 coming out of season 1.
It would have been nice in this series to get rid of Kang. I was just waiting for the moment where all this time he wasn't really dead anyway.
Well, he said, "See you soon." In season 1, you know, he was
Mrs.
who remains.
Mrs. Loki killed him, apparently, but you just knew he didn't because you don't believe anything that they've constructed.
No.
That's ultimately its problem. That's what's happening with Doctor Who too. It's like, okay, I don't care. I don't believe anything that you're giving me anymore.
No, and we're done with that because Russell T Davies has confirmed that the Timeless Children is canon. So I'm done with Doctor Who now. That's it. I'm not even going to give this Shooty Gatwa business a chance. Don't care. Done. But that's what happens when you allow intersectionality to get in the way of not just storytelling, but history. There is a body of 55 years of Doctor Who history before Jodie Whittaker came along. And to throw that away in the name of intersectionality is vandalism. It wouldn't be strong enough a word.
Well, I'm saying if you're going to make it intersectional, make it hot intersectional and don't put a bag lady in.
Sylvie looked awful this season.
Terrible.
She looked emaciated. She looked like she could really do with a couple of those McDonald's burgers that she was so desperately flipping. She looked disinterested. She's not allowed. I mean, I know nothing about the actress as a person. I'm sure they're lovely, but the character Sylvie is hideous. Is a hideous person. There is nothing there which you see that would allow you to believe that these people like her. And that's the problem. That's the problem in the age of tell, don't show. We're not shown any reason to invest in heroes. And that's been a huge problem with Marvel since the end of phase 3. We're just told they're the heroes, so root for them. Why? What are they doing? Why should we gravitate towards them? What is likable about them? What is heroic about them?
You know why she's there.
Of course we do. It's the rules to have intersectionality, feminism, 4th wave, 5th wave is the reason why she's there. But now that male Loki's Idrisil, it also allows Marvel to push her as the new Loki, just like the new Hawkeye, just like the new Ironheart, just like the new Black Widow, just like and I know it's going from woman to woman, but it's literally like Black Widow V1, you know, the sexy one, the one that that Tony Stark said to his missus, "Can I have one?" To his missus, "Can I have one?" No, you can't.
That's an interesting point. I never thought of that. You clever dick, you. That this is the way to get rid of Loki and replace him with Mrs. Loki by having him occupied with saving the world and keeping all humanity alive while he is holding the tendrils of life at his fingertips. What bullshit.
Yes. Nice power that he just got out of nowhere.
Yeah, weird, like, oh my God. Like, and to tell you the truth, every single time Kang, well, the oldie Kang with the weird comb job.
Timely, Mr. Timely.
Every time that he went out, I just kept thinking, when is Loki going to do it? Like, I'm just waiting. It's going to be Loki. We know that he's a god. He's probably going to be able to withstand whatever it is that is being thrown at him. Well, why isn't he going out there? And eventually he did. And that whole sequence where he had to go through a century of flippity doing just to gain the knowledge of nuclear physics and particle interaction. I thought, oh my God.
And holding the strands of time together.
Yes. Yeah.
Because Short Round knew that as well, I guess.
Yeah.
I have described most Marvel products since the end of season 3 as an this is what I use as a term, an exercise in wasting your time.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't seem to go anywhere. They seem to have a very minimal idea in terms of story, and so the plot literally cannot develop.
I could, if I was executive in charge of production on Loki, I would have said, just keep everything that you've got, but I want B plots with your other interesting characters. And let's make a self-contained entity, like I've mentioned already, something self-contained every single episode. Let's just do the network discipline within each one, because the content that was there is so thin that you could have just shoved that up to the top surface while you were also constructing B and C plots. You take a look at RoboCop, you don't have necessarily B plot, but you've got Ferrer, who usurps Cox's power by creating RoboCop,
Yes,
and then
yes.
Cox needs to kill Ferrer
Yeah.
and creates that fake bullshit sequence. That's a fantastic B plot that dances, that affects the movie, obviously, but includes the same bad guy. They didn't go off to new bad guys. They went to the same ones, which was absolutely brilliant, because we would just wanted to see them all the time, right? And then when Cox gets it at the end, you feel it more, because he didn't just screw Murphy, he also screwed the other guy who created Murphy. Like, there was corporate greed involved and competition. That was a fantastic subplot.
Yeah.
And so, and where's the jealous characters in, where's the melodrama in Loki?
Well, if you allowed Sylvie to be a woman. No, legitimately, if you could, because she's playing a male character. And Loki's playing a female character. And that's why it's so unbelievable. If Loki was allowed to be male and Sylvie was allowed to be female, then you could have developed something with Sylvie, no problem. You could have made her a likable character, whether or not you want her to be damaged, broken. If you have that sort of damaged character, then it's interesting to get into why and find that out. And find them sort of understand and appreciate it and allow them to grow. That's what makes characters likable. That's what made Loki such a great character in phase 1, 2, 3, is because he went from this bad guy to a legitimate redemptive arc.
But he had a legitimate relationship with his half brother. I mean,
father. Don't forget the relationship with, So but and it was his hubris, it was his jealousy, it was his desire that caused him to act the way he was. And when he realized that he was fighting against people who loved him and wanted nothing but the best for him, and he could see how they were behaving and how Thor went through his state of hubris and how he came out of it a better man.
Not only did they not give us Loki and Sylvie the right relationship, there was nobody else in there that I cared. Even if they had B plots, I don't give a shit about anyone else in the show
other than Owen Wilson.
No, he's the main group. He's the top tier, the cream part of the glass of milk. That's fine.
Did you notice that when they did the "Where did they actually come from" episode?
Right.
All the men were bums. And the diverse body positive time cop was a doctor.
I didn't twig onto that, but you're right.
She was a doctor. The guy, who I don't have any idea who he is or what he's there for, was a prisoner. Owen Wilson was a
loser dad.
Wife's gone. She's been gone for years. Loser dad. He sells jet skis, living in a dream world, amounted to really nothing. And then short round, a failed author who has to put his books in bookstores to then take them off the shelf and buy them. And then he got divorced as well while writing the guide to the TVA.
Right.
So all the men were bums. Diverse body positivity time cop. Oh, she's a doctor. She's made something of herself, and that to me just sums everything up in a nutshell.
I never twigged onto that. You're brilliant, Az.
It's unfortunately it's just been exposed to so much cancer in the Marvel. In Disney, that these things become very acute now. To find out, they just become very obvious because you know who you're dealing with.
Right.
if I went into watching it, like, there's a new Korean show. Go watch this new Korean show. My mind would not be set up for that. I wouldn't be going, right, what are the women doing and what are the men doing? Because I know I'm gonna go in there with a story and legitimate characterization. So I am actually gonna go into those shows being like, okay, let's see what's this like. I just watched a Korean show about a post-apocalyptic fucking delivery man and loved it. It was really cleverly done.
The way I view Korea is that they're aliens on another planet, and our television transmissions, which go into space, you can't stop them.
Can't stop.
But because they travel at the speed of light, they're not going to get the most recent shit that we're doing. They're seeing this stuff from the 1950s, 60s, and 70s.
Oh, thank God.
Right? And they're going, this is brilliant. We're going to imitate this stuff that's sort of like a Star Trek episode, right?
Yeah.
Where you know, this is the civilization. We love these stories. These stories are great. We're going to emulate these stories, this structure. They're not in sync with what's happening right now. Because oh no, I think it's totally good. Please never catch up, Korea.
Yes,
we love you.
Never catch up, and please mock the West. Mock it with disdain, as much disdain as possible, because we need a complete reboot in who we are as a peoples, because otherwise we're done.
Yeah, I would love to do a sitcom where an office brings in DEI and it just starts off as this great place and then falls apart with backstabbing and all that.
That is a really good idea.
But it would never get done.
Oh, it would have to be independently funded. You wouldn't get it on. You wouldn't get it onto a network because a network wouldn't allow it.
You're dealing with jealousies and new people being brought in that you don't trust. People that you thought you trusted that turn on you. You know,
people who are good at their job being pushed aside for people who are not good at their job.
Correct. It almost writes itself.
But we know we can't, because we know what would happen to a lot of the characters and what demographic they would be part of.
And every actor would turn it down because they'd be afraid for their careers.
I know a few actors. Clifton Duncan would be in on this in a heartbeat. I'm telling you that
Fox,
for nothing.
And Lawrence Fox.
Gina Carano, get Gina Carano in there as well.
Oh, man.
Michael Madison, get Michael Madison in.
Woods, James Woods.
James Woods could be the owner of the company.
Oh, yeah.
Who influenced the I like to call it DIE because it is die, because it will kill your company. Who influenced the DIE? James Woods
wouldn't it be great if he plays against type and is really excited about?
He's come back from his courses. He's excited about implementing these changes.
Oh yeah.
He thinks, he even steps aside himself to allow somebody to come in. This show would write itself. It would be like the modern day Office.
Yes.
But you wouldn't just have to be dealing with personalities. You're dealing with the system now. You're dealing with an ideology instead. So it would write itself.
I think so.
We've waffled on for long enough.
I think so too.
Because there's nothing to talk about with the show.
I think we've talked about a lot of good things, though.
We've talked about a lot of things surrounding what could have been the show.
Yeah, I think.
But there's nothing really to talk about the show about, other than Loki cries and then he's Idrisil. The end.
The end. Anyways, thanks for having me on.
No problem. No problem. It's been great to have you on. Had a little discussion about something else we could do on your channel.
Yeah.
Which I'm quite excited for, looking forward to. Something different.
Thanks, Az.
No problem. Thank you so much indeed again, Paul. So if you didn't get the broad scope, something happened, but probably not. We'll see you on the next video. You take care. Bye for now.
So we'll find another show to work on. Oh, we already talked about something before we started this stream.
Just do that bit again, because I'm editing that sneeze out.